question from you, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. My name is Travis Porter, and I'm an individual representing myself. I'm a person who's been involved in political issues, specifically term limits and Article 5, Section 1, now for several years. While the people of Arkansas elect our representatives and our senators, I'm not sure they always represent the people of Arkansas. And I think this is questionable, particularly when you talk about a couple of issues, term limits for the legislators and the initiative process. Looking at this bill, some of the specifics, and Mr. Steele mentioned some of them, but changing to 60%, or the percentage, whether it's an initiative by the people, by the legislature, okay, I kind of agree with Mr. Steele from the standpoint of 60% change the Constitution. However, when it comes to 60% of the legislature, again, that's a low threshold. If you go back to the act which became Issue 3 in 2014, the Ethics, Transparency, and Financial Reform Amendment, only 7 of the 135 representatives and senators voted against that. Only 7. So what should the threshold be for the legislature to change the Constitution? Probably a lot more than 60%. This business of reducing the cutting of January 15, the time we kept term petitions in, I understand the issue about later dates and so forth, but other bills proposed and before this committee say you can't collect signatures earlier than 2 years before the election. If you have to turn them in by January 15, that cuts to 1 year, the entire time to get this process going to collect the signatures. Now, I've heard some people shaking their heads when Mr. Steele says it's difficult to get something on the ballot. It's difficult for citizens to get something on the ballot. In fact, it's difficult for signatures of valid voters to be counted. Witness Act 1413 and the administrative hurdles that were placed on actually counting a valid registered voter signature. The business of increasing from 15 to 45 the number of counties, that's raising the bar substantially. Substantially. Citizens, the little guys, I've talked to 5,000 people and gotten thousands of signatures over the last several years. It is hard. And in fact, I'd argue that some of the actions taken by the legislature almost condemn us to having outside money. For instance, before this last cycle, the printing cost for the bill was borne whether the legislature puts it on the ballot or whether citizens, it was borne by the state of Arkansas. Now, it must be borne by the petition, the sponsor. The printing bill for the one-page amendment on term limits was $30,000. Issue 3 back in 2014 was a 19 or 20-page amendment. The printing cost would have probably been $1 million. Who's got $30,000 or $1 million, citizens? Significant hurdles. Eliminating the cure time to collect extra signatures. When you collect all these signatures, just because you get them, it doesn't mean they're going to be valid. But if you get 75%, then we ought to have some time to cure them. These seem to me, these and some of the other bills that are proposed, again, they don't really deal with fraud, which is one of the things that Article 5 allows the legislation to deal with, but it just makes it harder for citizens to get something on the ballot and get it passed. I'm reminded of in the Act 1413 case that came before the Supreme Court. And a number of those were administrative hurdles placed on counting valid voter signatures. A couple of them were ruled unconstitutional. Justice Hart, in a dissenting opinion, said that basically while Act 1413 doesn't abolish the initiative process for the citizens, it has the same effect. And it has become the death by 1,000 cuts. And as I look at this bill and the others before this committee and potentially the legislature, it's death by thousands of cuts. Thank you very much.
Well, you get 5 more minutes.